Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Tim Callahan. Tonight on the Now Bakersfield, new details being released regarding a daycare provider accused of abusing a child. And the Now sitting down with Sheriff Donnie Youngblood as he starts his new term, his goals for his department during a financial crisis. Plus, a new study is finding Bakersfield the third worst place for a living an active lifestyle. We'll tell you who number one is. That and much more ahead on the Now Bakersfield. Chris?
Well, here's what we have in our lineup today here on the Now. There have been a lot of questions about what's happening with taxes and refunds because of the government shutdown. We have answers on that. Also, hundreds of thousands of people in the blind community, they're turning to a volunteer-based app for sight. We have how you can help as well. It's a story you're only going to see on the Now. Also, you may be trying to eat healthier in the new year, but labels on food, they can get confusing. You always hear organic or natural. Which way should you go? We're going to clear all of that up for you as well.
Good evening. Welcome to the Now Bakersfield. I'm Tim Callahan taking you in the Live Center talking about that continuing government shutdown. President Trump addressing the nation tonight and really no new movement on that government shutdown now in its 18th day. The president making his pitch for that proposed border wall, using the recent killing of police officer Ranil Singh as an example, all while Democrats responded tonight. Take a listen of that address just about an hour ago.
The only thing that is immoral is the politicians to do nothing and continue to allow more innocent people to be so horribly victimized. America's heart broke the day after Christmas when a young police officer in California was savagely murdered in cold blood by an illegal alien who just came across the border. The life of an American hero was stolen by someone who had no right to be in our country. Day after day, precious lives are cut short by those who have violated our borders.
Sadly, much of what we heard from President Trump throughout this senseless shutdown has been full of misinformation and even malice. The president has chosen fear. We want to start with the facts.
As you see there, both sides digging in. The president not making any concessions, really setting the stage for a possible declaration of a national emergency as he makes his way to the border wall on Thursday. Democrats saying they're not going to budge this shutdown now with those 800,000 federal employees set to lose their first paycheck coming up this week as that government shutdown continues. If you missed the president's address, we have it on our 23 ABC Facebook page right now. You can watch it in its entirety here. Also tonight, after the address, folks are fact-checking the president. CNN putting this out today as the president talked about all Americans being hurt by uncontrolled illegal immigrants. They unpack that, as well as the other claim the president has said is who's going to pay for that wall. He's been saying essentially during the campaign trail, you remember that Mexico would pay for the wall. Now he's trying to say that new renegotiated NAFTA deal with the Mexican government is going to help in the benefits of trade deals pay for that wall indirectly. So that is being fact-checked tonight as well. Congressman Kevin McCarthy, now the minority leader, is talking about this. He joined the VP as well as Mick Mulvaney, the acting chief of staff, as well as counselor to the president, Kellyanne Conway, earlier today in the White House. There is a meeting scheduled tomorrow with 10 of the congressional leaders from both the Senate and the House on both sides of the aisle. Tomorrow in the White House, we'll see if that shutdown continues. So moving on to other stories here on the Now Bakersfield. Our other top story, a woman arrested here in Bakersfield for suspected child abuse back in December. Tonight, the Now's Bakersfield's Leah Pizzetti is learning about that suspect's employment history and her history at other daycare facilities here in Kern County. She has the new information tonight.
Documents revealed Shannon Perkins' ex-boyfriend called authorities last month saying he had videos of Perkins abusing children at her home daycare located on Randall Street in Northwest Bakersfield. He says he showed KCSO videos of Perkins picking up a child, throwing him on the ground, slamming him on the sofa, and strangling the infant. Tonight, we're learning prior to starting her at-home daycare in 2017, Perkins worked at Little Explorers Preschool in Southwest Bakersfield. The school confirms she worked there from 2011 through 2016. They told us during her time there, she was an exemplary employee and was never written up. They say she left on good terms in December 2016 to start her own business. Today, the state said it has issued a temporary suspension order on Shannon Perkins' daycare. This letter was sent to parents in the daycare, stating the facility can no longer operate as a licensed child care center, saying there is an immediate risk to children in the care, and it was closed effective 6 p.m. last Friday. For the Now, I'm Leah Pizzetti.
And Perkins posting bail the first day of the year. She's due in court Friday, where she's expected to be formally charged. Social Services tells 23 ABC that if she's found guilty, they will revoke her right to work with children for life. Well, he enters his fourth term as Kern County Sheriff at the time when the county has already seen 4 homicides in twice as many days. Sheriff Donnie Youngblood sitting down with the Now's Josh Sanders on his priorities for the county in now his next term. Josh?
Yeah, Tim, after 12 years, Sheriff Donnie Youngblood is definitely invested in the community, but he tells me as he enters into the 4th term as Kern County Sheriff, he enters with unfinished business.
Sheriff Donnie Youngblood enters into his 4th term as Kern County Sheriff after a heated race with former Chief Deputy Justin Fleeman. Youngblood says the county is struggling with the financial crisis impacting his department. He says his recruitment and retention are among his top priorities.
As we enter this next 4 years, we will be looking at trying to increase the ranks because we have so many vacancies.
According to Youngblood, KCSO deputies are the lowest paid in law enforcement. He says if they continue to lose deputies to other departments, they may have to close units and reevaluate what calls they respond to. He says after the failed sales tax that would have provided funding for deputies, there is talk of introducing a new bill in 2020, but he won't be the one to lead it.
I tried, and I tried twice, and the public has said no, and that's I'm going to have to live with their answer.
After 12 years of serving the county, Youngblood says his faith is strong. A Bible his mother gave him that he took the oath of office on 12 years ago still rests on the corner of his desk. He says his faith is important to his family, and that gives him the strength as he begins his 4th term.
I know I still feel like I'm youthful, and I feel like I'm full of energy. I get up at 5 o'clock every single morning. I still hike 80 to 100 miles a month. I've got my foot down on the gas, not letting up on the gas, and I think that's just the way I'm designed. I'm full speed ahead.
Now, I also asked about the investigation into his opponent, Justin Fleeman, for undisclosed allegations regarding him being placed on administrative leave. Youngblood had no comment. He says his department is not overseeing that investigation. That investigation is being led by the Kern County Council. And I did reach out to the council, but have yet to hear back from them. Chris?
Let's start the Now news feed with some news on an improvement in the fight against cancer. The American Cancer Society says deaths from cancer dropped 27% over a quarter century, and they say we're talking about 2.6 million fewer deaths from cancer. Well, you do hear a lot about high-fat diets. Doctors, they're concerned about the impact it can have on someone long-term. They did tests on rats and found the high-fat diet led to a major boost in blood pressure. Well, you want to be careful about bragging on dating apps, and boy, did a woman in Oklahoma find that one out the hard way. So she bragged to a man that she matched to on Bumble that she had just poached a deer on her ranch that was out of season. Now, that is illegal. Problem is, after she sent a picture, it turns out that the person she had matched with and was talking to was a game warden. Yeah, the next day authorities showed up at her house. Well, the start of tax season, it is just a few weeks away. And despite the shutdown, the government says it will be issuing tax refunds. The Now's Andy Taylor telling us why we should get a head start on filing.
Hey, Chris. Well, this season, a lot of tax professionals are saying if there was ever a time to use a software or enlist in a tax professional, it is now. I spoke with Michelle McCarthy. She's a tax law professional, and she gave a few reasons why we should all file early. First, even though the government says your tax refunds won't be affected by the shutdown, she says that can always change. Plus, the sooner you file, the sooner you'll get your return. And the IRS suggests you also file electronically to get a faster return too. Again, this is the first tax year after the new tax law bill was implemented, so we are all about to see how this will affect us. Michelle says once we see that, you should amend your withholdings accordingly. And then experts predict families will be impacted the most because of the reform, which means families are most likely to owe money. And if you are single or married without children, you might actually benefit from the changes. And if you really want to get a head start, you can work with an agent or software systems to file your taxes before opening day, which is Monday, January 28th. But they won't actually get sent in until the IRS systems are officially open that Monday. But at least they're finished.
Yeah, got that right, Annie. Thank you. Let's get back to our lineup. Hundreds of thousands of people in the blind community, they're turning to a volunteer-based app, Foresight. Well, you can help out. You can help out with this as well. We're going to show you next. It's a story you'll only see here on The Now. Perceptions and stereotypes of people's weight are affecting employees in the workplace. One study from the University of Pennsylvania found that higher a person's body mass index, the more likely they are to face discrimination. Study shows people who are overweight tend to be seen as people with no self-control, and that translates to a lack of leadership skills. Now, this can hurt their chances of being hired or being promoted. Now, equal opportunity employment laws make it illegal to discriminate. Nowhere in the law does it describe weight or physical appearance. Only a few places like Michigan, San Francisco, and D.C. actually protect overweight people from discrimination. Now, psychiatry experts speculate that there aren't more protections because weight is seen as something that can be controlled. They recommend employers start including weight and diversity trainings, but Eastern Kentucky University researchers found that only 29% of companies are ready to address that issue. Well, a huge rescue operation centered around a popular service dog breed is wrapping up today in Georgia. The team with Guardians of Rescue sent us these videos and pictures of the conditions that hundreds of German Shepherds were living in. They say it was a puppy mill. The dogs, they were bred at 2 different locations in Georgia, about 450 in all. The dogs were crowded in uncovered cages just filled with mud and filth. And we FaceTime with one of the volunteers on the ground.
The smell here is very intense. It's one of the worst that I've ever smelled. It's really unfortunate that these dogs are living in mud just up to some of them up to their stomachs.
Now, the owner of the properties with the German Shepherds was arrested and charged with animal cruelty. The dogs are going to German Shepherd rescue groups and Guardians of Rescue, the group that was behind this operation, looking for donations to help cover medical and transportation costs to move them. A tough video to watch here, as well as a teacher in Kentucky now fired after this video showing her dragging a boy with autism through a school hallway. Now, the parents say the boy had an outburst, the teacher grabbing him by his wrists and dragging him out. The elementary school called the boy's parents, saying he was involved in an accident. The parents say that the boy was restrained in the wrong way and suffered sprains because of it.
I was in shock and I was very traumatized. For this to happen in front of all of his classmates, it's just something no mother wants to hear.
Just awful. Yeah, parts of the incident actually were not recorded because the camera was facing a corner in one classroom. The teacher was fired yesterday, months after that incident happened. All right, let's take a look at the disasters that hit the U.S. last year and just how much they cost us. Because our country led the world in catastrophes. That's according to Munich Re, which is a reinsurance firm. Now, the Camp Fire in California ended up costing $16.5 billion in damage. It was the most expensive disaster in the entire world. Hurricane Michael, that cost about $16 billion, and Hurricane Florence about $14 billion. Experts are worried about wildfires becoming more common.
Wow. Well, if staying and getting fit is a New Year resolution for you, a new study says Bakersfield may not be the ideal environment to help you achieve that goal. That's because, according to a study by Wallet Hub, Bakersfield has been ranked the third worst city for an active lifestyle. The list compares the 100 biggest U.S. cities based on 38 key indicators of an active lifestyle. The overall best city to live in for active lifestyles, Honolulu, Hawaii. Honolulu followed by Chicago, San Francisco for the best places for that type of lifestyle. The overall worst city to live in is in Florida, followed by North Las Vegas, and unfortunately, then Bakersfield. But the good news is forecast, Allison. Get outside, enjoy it.
You definitely want to get outside because we had good air quality today and warm temperatures, feeling a little more like fall than winter. We had a high of 70 degrees, so that's 15 degrees above seasonal for this time of year. The last time Bakersfield had temperatures in the 70s was back at the end of November. These warm temperatures will be continuing, but we did feel strong winds earlier today, still looking at 17-mile-per-hour winds here in Bakersfield, 23 down at the base of the Grapevine. Thankfully, that's giving us another day of good air quality tomorrow with an AQI of 33, and there are no restrictions, but birding is discouraged. And as for temperatures here in the valley, they are going to be holding on to the 60s, in the upper 50s up in Lake Isabella, and 53 as a high in Tehachapi. But we are tracking some rain making its way toward the county overnight tonight into the early morning hours on Wednesday. So right at 9:30 in the morning, it looks to be a well-lit storm. We can see those rain chances. That yellow is actually the heaviest rainfall. But as soon as it makes its way toward the county, it looks to be falling apart. But we could be seeing some light rain, scattered showers throughout the valley, as well as into the mountains in the afternoon tomorrow, continuing into the early evening hours. It's going to keep temperatures in the 60s, though, through the weekend. 67 as a high on Friday looks to be the warmest day for the rest of the work week. And then we are tracking a system bringing some measurable rainfall to the county Sunday, continuing into Monday. The Now Bakersfield will be right back.
We're going to start this news feed with some environmental concerns. U.S. carbon emissions went up last year. They had been on the downswing for the past 3 years. It's the second largest yearly gain in more than 2 decades. Well, if you want to get away a cruise, really may be the way to go because several cruise lines, they have dropped prices this month. Disney Cruise Lines leads in low prices this month. We're talking 31% less than a year ago. Yet at the same time, some of the several luxury lines, we're talking like Viking Cruises, they've raised prices because of demand. Well, this story, it hurts just hearing it. A doctor prescribing a woman in the UK the wrong cream to treat an eye condition. She accidentally used erectile dysfunction medication cream on her eye. She suffered blurred vision and swelling, but is taking meds to get better. Well, what if you could volunteer to help someone in need just with your smartphone? Yeah, Nicole Vowell showing us how technology is bringing people together for those who need it most.
I've always lived as an individual who was totally blind, and I have always used human guide or the white cane for travel.
Venser Cotton may not have his sight, but he does have his skills and tools to help him get through everyday life.
I started reading Braille at 5 and started using the cane a couple of years later. We'll see my good people in here.
But Braille and his cane can't do this.
Hello. Hello. How are you? Very well, thank you.
In times like this, only a second set of eyes will do.
Can you see what this sandwich is here? Oh, I guess it's chicken. Chicken, okay.
Cotton is showing us how he uses the video call-based service called Be My Eyes, using the volunteer helper on the other end to assist him in shopping for specific items.
Okay. All right, what do you got? The idea is that you'll use the assistance of a Be My Eyes helper to identify information that's important for you.
He stops into S&A Jewelry and Bead Store in D.C.'s Tacoma Park.
I'm standing at the front door, and I'll start to pan, and I'll start here from my right.
Where he's searching for a good soap.
So you've got a lot of bracelets and necklaces, so that's just a bunch of jewelry in front of you.
And by using Be My Eyes, he's able to navigate.
Any other details you can read about this particular piece?
And find what he's looking for.
Oh, Alex, I think we found it, my man.
The app hosts a network of over 1 million volunteers in 150 countries, and is used by more than 100,000 people living with blindness or visual impairment. It's free to sign up to be a helper and free for people like Cotton to use if they need visual help.
They're very helpful for identifying packages in your or items in your cabinet, or expiration dates on perishables in the refrigerator.
Cotton says he uses it about twice a week to help him while he's on the go. And rather than asking someone for help in the store, this makes him feel more independent and helps him connect with people in a beneficial way for all.
Technology can, in fact, bring us closer together rather than making us to be farther apart.
For the Now.
And I appreciate you for your time and help.
Of course.
I'm Nicole Vowell reporting.
All right, Nicole, thank you. And as Nicole mentioned, that app there, it is free. Volunteers, they are needed around the clock. So you can sign up easily by going to BeMyEyes.com. All right, next in our lineup, you may be trying to eat healthier in the new year, but let's face it, those food labels, they can just be confusing. You see things like organic, natural, what does it all mean? We're going to clear it up for you. That is when the Now continues. Well, a lot of us are trying to make better food choices, maybe shed a few pounds as well. But when you're trying to figure out what's healthy, food labels can be confusing. So let's bring in Annie Taylor to simplify things for us.
Well, we should be paying attention to the fat, sugar, and sodium on everything that we buy, but you also need to understand some of the terms food companies use. For example, organic and natural, two completely different meanings. For something to be organic, it has to meet federal farming and processing standards. Look for the USDA organic seal for foods with fewer chemicals, and then artificial ingredients. Natural, on the other hand, is a term that only has to meet a certain standard when it's on meat and poultry products. It means that they were minimally processed. Anything else that you buy that says natural is essentially just a meaningless term, according to Consumer Reports. So organic is healthier than natural. But how about carbs? You've probably seen multigrain breads and bagels that look healthy, but Consumer Reports say that just means there is a mixture of grains that are likely still refined. You are better off going with the whole wheat and whole grain products. They aren't stripped of natural fibers and vitamins, but just make sure whole grain is the first ingredient. Stay away from anything that says enriched. And one more quick term, no artificial colors. Consumer Reports says it doesn't necessarily mean the food is good for you. It may not have artificial colors, but they can still be highly processed and loaded with sugar.
All right, Annie, thank you. And tomorrow here on The Now, you're going to want to join us because we're going to take you inside the Consumer Electronics Show to show you the new technology that's going to have an impact in our homes and in our lives, everything from health monitoring to an improvement for our phones.
Taking a live look outside in Bakersfield, we're seeing clouds across the county acting as a blanket to keep the valley nice and warm. 64 degrees right now here in Bakersfield, and those 60s are going to be continuing through the rest of the work week, actually into the weekend. We have a chance to see some light rain tomorrow afternoon and into the evening, then again on Friday, but real rain chances begin overnight Sunday, continuing into Monday as well as the rest of the week.
Not bad. Like fall-like.
I
Very
know.
comfortable. All right, that's it for The Now. We'll see you tonight on 23 ABC News at 11. Good night.